Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELVES Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Luke on Elves versus Pyle Souza on SnOko. Arkham's Astrolabe versus Heritage Druid. We'll see if Luke can have an explosive start here and perhaps manage to overwhelm this control deck's defenses. Elvis Visionary drawing a card. Thoughtseize going to look to take the best card out of the hand. And it looks like a pair of Nettle Sentinels along with a Wirewood Symbiote. This video will likely be very instructive here for Luke. 3. You can play a Quirin Ranger. And also the elf that drains life. I forget the name of it. Shaman of the Pack, I think. And looks like this hand had some technically... what would you say? I think there was some different lines that could have been taken here with this Heritage Druid opening with those Nettle Sentinels. I think the untap trigger, something that Luke is going to come to really appreciate as he refines his understanding of the list. This will likely be very instructive for him. And for anyone out there that has never picked up Elves, there's a lot of complicated synergy, which can be the difference in between winning and losing. Getting those untap triggers for your Nettle Sentinels can provide an incredible boost of mana. Birchlore Ranger. And Imperious Perfect. And that one gets Force of Willed. Imperious Perfect would have turned this motley crew of 1/1s into a very legitimate Fatal Push taking out Nettle Sentinel. Very legitimate clock. Instead, we got 5 damage coming in, which is still a concern. This could be over in just a couple of turns. And Oko now, and going to be able to turn Arkham's Astrolabe into an Elk. That 3/3 body, quite large. I don't believe this Nettle Sentinel would have untapped. See if he can play a green spell. Perhaps that Heritage Druid left tapped by accident. No, we'll see. The game state not correct right now. Snapcaster, another body. That one happy to trade with the Nettle Sentinel. And now Oko makes a food which is threatening to become yet another 3/3 blocker. Finhorn Elves. And Reclamation Sage blowing up the food. Setting Pyle back a turn. He's at 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 damage on board, but there are 2 blockers. It may be time to just start turning sideways. Maybe he can overwhelm. Though it's tough. The gaining 3 life off of the food also not inconsequential. A very tight game state here, and Elves potentially poised to drop a game-winning spell at any time. Pyle needs to keep looking for permission. Baleful Strix, another solid blocker. Heritage Druid. Not ideal from here, as his 75 continues to evolve. Getting more cards like Green Sun Zenith and Natural Order will make these type of standstills much more dangerous for his opponents. Glimpse of Nature, probably be one of the last upgrades to the deck. It's one of the more difficult to play. And Luke actually trading here Land Grant. A reasonable card in Elves can allow you to go get any one of your forests, including Overgrown Tomb in this build. And it also has the added bonus of untapping Nettle Sentinels. Is that an Ice Fang Coatl? There's Death Touch everywhere. Oh, and Plague Engineer. Ooh. Well, it's gonna be making small talk for the rest of this video, or until this game's over. Plague Engineer, an absolute monster here. SnOko's going to be able to continue adding pressure to the board. It should be fairly short after that. There's the Gaia's Cradle, a gift from the New Jersey Magic Crew. When they heard about Luke's quest here, they pitched in. Joe Brennan, Victor, some of the guys made it down for the pre-release and bestowed quite a gift here on Luke. A bunch of cards that have really taken this deck to the next level. That Guy's Cradle hopefully will lead to many, many victories for him. He sees Duress, a card that could potentially take an Oko out of Pyle's hand before it becomes a problem. Oko really does. I know it's been said before, but you know, if you're putting out big creatures or big threats, Oko easily turns them into 3/3s, making the value just absolute garbage. You know, you're paying a bunch of mana for a vanilla 3/3. That is not a way to win games of Magic. And then on the other side, as we saw, if you do have a deck full of super efficient, just hyper efficient 1/1 creatures that lead to even more creatures getting out, well, then just making a 3/3 blocker towers over and really starts to cut into your ability to get the job done. Just continually making 3/3s is difficult to get past with a bunch of 1/1s and 2/2s. And Oko did a lot of heavy lifting there to stall the game until, of course, that Plague Engineer showed up, and that is a devastating card for Elves. Something Luke is going to hope to dodge here in the remaining games in this match. Finds himself down a game. See if he can get his first win on camera. And leading out with a Duress. He sees that Oko along with a Ponder. And what is that other card? I don't know what that is. Is it Drown in the Lock? I can't actually tell. Let me know in the comments what that one is. Ponder here for Pyle. Overgrown Tomb. And Basic Forest. Elvish Visionary drawing a card. Visionary, a powerful draw engine in the deck when combined with Wirewood Symbiote. The ability to pick up and put down the Visionary, drawing a card with each entered the battlefield trigger can pull you way ahead. Those type of shenanigans, much more difficult to pull off with Oko. That is an example of being okay with turning a 1-mana card into a 3/3 with no abilities. Getting rid of a Wirewood Symbiote is pretty reasonable. Otherwise, all of your removal is going to be blanked. Looks like a... Is this a Thoughtseize? Yep, looks like a Lorwyn Art Thoughtseize. with some options. Finale of Devastation, the card that will ultimately be the biggest problem. There's a Land Grant, Imperious Perfect, Nettle Sentinel. And Finale is taken. Forest off the top. And he's going to go ahead and play the Land Grant now, grabbing another Forest. May have been worthwhile to hold on to that for an untap trigger. It does thin the deck. Probably not 100% one way or the other. I think I probably would hold it to get an untap trigger. Here we have a Imperious Perfect. And Lightning Bolt makes short work of that. Luke's build of Elves, probably the most resilient versus Plague Engineer out of anything Pile likely to play against. That is in the Elf engine. He's got a lot of Lords, things that give +1/+1 to all of his guys. So that is a bit of a problem for the Plague Engineers. And a Baleful Strix comes down, drawing a card. Nettle Sentinel. And 3 mana for a Reclamation Sage, taking out the Baleful Strix. Missing an attack there. That Elvish Visionary could have turned sideways, and oh, the Plague Engineer. Leaving him with just a 1/1 Nettle Sentinel. Shaman of the Pack, draining for 2. And another Plague Engineer. Brutal. Absolutely devastating draw here for Elves, facing down a pair of Plague Engineers. He draws the Cradle again. SnOko now teams up with these Plague Engineers to speed up the clock mercifully. Land Grant to thin out the deck, but very few things in Elves would be able to deal with this. Absolutely brutal draws here. Seven damage and just mercifully one more turn as these Plague Engineers have eliminated almost all of his outs. Elvish Visionary can come in to draw a card, but that is it. So Plague Engineer confirmed, devastating card versus Elves. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELVES Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.